This is your mom's favorite show, Beer and Chill podcast. My name is Jan,
And I'm Craig.
and we would really appreciate if you would stop by and listen to our show. We are talking about interesting facts about your favorite movies, games, and TV shows.
For example, did you know that Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen had a real-life beef because Christopher Lee wanted to play Gandalf in Lord of the Rings?
And many other great facts.
We hope you check us out and enjoy the rest of your show. Bye-bye.
What's your favorite scary movie?
They mostly come at night. Mostly.
Welcome to my world, bitch. Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell.
They're here.
Welcome, victims, to the Horr-gasm podcast. Kill the lights, lock the doors, get comfy, and prepare for the sexiest and scariest podcast around. I'm Nick, and with me is my co-host, Ali.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So we live in a climate that goes from hot to cold really quick. So if you hear some dripping, it's just my living room. Because everybody's living room drips, right?
This one does.
That's normal, right?
Yeah, just little drippy drips.
Yeah.
Stupid melting bullshit.
Yeah, we just got dumped with snow, and now my house is like, I don't know how to deal with that. So it just goes a little drippy drip.
Yep. And also it's like +2 today, and
Which is beautiful. Yeah.
it really
I
is.
was texting one of my friends, and she had just gone for a walk, and she's like, yeah, it's like summer in Saskatchewan. I was like, yeah, it's basically t-shirt weather.
It's close.
I just wore a sweater when I went for a walk today, and I was like, man, it's beautiful.
It got real windy though before
It
noon.
did. You know, and just the wind is what makes it chilly, which is too bad, but like,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's still not bad if you throw on, pair of earmuffs, you're still good to go with the sweater, I think.
Well, you know the saying why it's so windy in Saskatchewan?
No.
Because Alberta sucks and Manitoba blows.
Oh. Oh my god.
Every Saskatchewan person knows that. That's
Oh, I've
rule of
never
thumb.
heard that.
rule of thumb.
Sounds like something someone would say in elementary school.
No.
Really? Oh my god, that's funny. I mean, it makes sense.
It
But...
does. It does.
Oh god. So we watched Re-Animator this week.
It was good.
Yeah. It was fun, hey?
It was very cheesy, very corny, very gory, and great.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I watched it, I did enjoy it. It was just so different, I think. Like a different spin on Frankenstein almost, Yeah, just a little bit different. And yeah, just, I don't know, bizarre. Just bizarre. That's the only way that I can describe it. I don't even know how else to describe it other than just like an 80s Frankenstein that's extra weird.
I would, because it was based on H.P. Lovecraft's, his kind of take on Frankenstein.
Right.
But it was also, it's very zombie-ish.
Yes.
But it
yes,
was not
yes.
zombies. Like, they didn't
Right.
go eating brains. They were just, they get reanimated. They became violent
And mad.
and mailed.
Yeah, so mild.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just, they didn't eat. They didn't want to consume. They had some motor function skills. They could talk.
But
was weird.
barely, kind of.
Yeah,
eh?
they had to like really struggle and fight for it.
Yeah, and it looked like in the one scene though, like Dr. Hill, like when he was, spoiler alert. Feel like the whole thing is a spoiler, but anyways, when Dr. Hill is like just ahead and he has his body dump blood into his little tray. He seems to like that.
Yeah, that was not really explained.
No,
It
not
feels
at
like-
all.
As
It's
good as the
bizarre.
movie is, there's some questions. You're like, kind of, why?
Yeah.
And how? And then why again?
Yes.
And then there's a big old what the. So
I think one of my favorite parts was the opening credits. They used the Law and Order font.
Yes, and I guess they
weird.
stole the theme bit from Psycho.
Yes. Yeah, when we were originally watched, I was like, I think that they stole this from something.
Yeah.
That was good. Do we have Psycho on our list? It's one of my favorite
I don't think
movies
so.
ever. One of my favorite horror movies. I just rewatched both of them. 1 and 2, I think, are equally good.
Have you seen the remake?
Yes.
What'd you think with Vince Vaughn?
It
Okay.
exists.
Okay, fair enough. Because I heard good things about it. I heard people like, oh, it's not bad.
It's horrible.
Oh.
I hated every second.
Okay.
You know what? It bugs me. They made a shot-for-shot remake and didn't change. Like, it's literally shot-for-shot, line for line.
Just set in more modern times.
Yes.
Ah.
And you get to stare at Anne Heche's butthole for, like, a solid 20 seconds. Like, an uncomfortable amount of time.
Big old butt booty.
Butthole.
The hole.
Hole.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Wow.
It's like an extended period of time, and you're just like...
Yep, she's got an ass. Okay,
yeah,
yep.
that's... Like, it's bizarre. And it's none of the actors' fault, but they weren't almost allowed to take any liberties because it was line for line, shot for shot. So you can't, ad-lib, you can't redo it. It has to be.
Yeah.
It was weird. And I just don't think that those kind of movies work usually. And it wasn't the actors' fault. They were amazing actors and actresses. It just didn't have the charm of the first one.
That's too bad.
Yeah. And it was also, I don't know, I love Anthony Perkins. Like, so good. And it's just something like it doesn't ring as true in modern times, sort of how everything happens. I think just with it being, it was the 60s, wasn't it? Psycho? Or was it the 70s?
Oh, he was black and white.
Yeah, I thought it was the 60s.
Could be 60s. Could
But
be
it
50s.
was really good. And I don't know. It was just, it didn't need to be redone, I guess.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah. But yeah, the remake just wasn't for me. I know people who don't mind it, but yeah, it was just kind of bleh.
Yeah, whatever.
Bleh.
Some people like remakes, some don't. Some people like
Exactly.
prequels, some don't. There's a big like and don't like fan base for The Thing and a Thing prequel.
See, and I've heard that too, but I thought it was fantastic.
I did too. The big complaint is that they took out the practical effects, went with CGI, and this one guy, I forget his name. He still claims that it's a full on, like it's a very poor remake of The Thing.
Really?
I'm like, dude, it sets up the classic John Carpenter's Thing. It's not a remake.
Yes, right.
Oh yeah, it is. They take almost everything from the same movie. No, they don't. You dumbass.
I also thought the CGI was great. Like, that is honestly, when I think of monsters that creep me out, the monsters in the new Thing, like, creep me out.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching some sort of recap of scariest movies of whatever, the years. And that one popped up, and I was like, oh, those monsters, like, when I think of a scary monster, those ones pop into my brain.
Yeah.
I thought the CGI was done really well.
I did too.
And it almost looked like they were in pain. We talked about this when we did the review that no one ever got to hear because it was corrupted.
Yeah, that's sad.
But I liked it. I really liked it.
I really did. And I know as well.
One I will absolutely not concede about is if there's anybody in the entire world who likes the new Wicker Man more than the old one, I will meet them in a parking lot and fight them. Because I absolutely refuse to believe anybody exists.
I'm
Nope,
sure.
there's not.
No, there are
Parking lot, 5 p.m.
There are, I'm sure, Nicolas Cage purists who love every single movie he's in, including him in The Wicker Man.
I don't want to believe it.
There is.
don't
I'm sorry.
wanna
I'm
believe
sorry.
It was
There
just...
is.
And it wasn't even bad. It's just what I did was I watched the old one and then immediately afterwards, like same day, watched the new one. And I was like, what a steaming pile of garbage. And I think, yeah, it was just very poorly acted. Very poor. I'm sorry, Nicolas Cage. It was very poorly acted. And
I'm sure he got a nice paycheck out of it. And because I know
100%.
Because he took a bunch of like no paying, but just really bad roles because he needed to pay off his taxes.
And you know, it's a good role. He acted it poorly.
Yeah.
And that makes me mad.
That's fair.
Because it was such a good movie. Have you seen the original?
I have not.
I was just going to throw my microphone. I'm like, no, don't do that. It is one of the best horror movies. I love new horror movies, but there is something about older ones. There's something like, I don't know, like there was nothing to go off of, so they were just like, we're going to make a cult movie, and it's going to be cool. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's really, really good.
Well, good.
You'll love it. I know you'll love it. How could you not love Christopher Lee as a cult leader?
Ooh, you had me at Christopher Lee. Right there.
And like young Christopher Lee.
Ooh.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah.
I can't wait till we get into the Hammer horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Where he was Dracula and and they
yeah.
made so many.
I've seen those. Oh, I watched the Brahms Dracula. The one on Netflix.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
With Gary Oldman.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, cool. I was
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes, that one. Yeah.
With Gary Oldman and who was Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, he was in it.
I just rewatched that one on Netflix.
And Keanu Reeves in his very not good English accent.
Say.
But that aside, it is a good, creepy, spooky movie. When the brides of Dracula show up.
Yes.
And they feed off him and rape him and all that. And then he storms in. He doesn't storm. He floats in a rage, and they spring out, climb to the wall, and they all kind of combine. Not combine, but they link up.
Yes.
Where they're all like one weird creature, and I love it. It's such a great, creepy scene where he arrives with a baby and gives it to them, and he's crawling on the.
Yes.
It's a really great movie. Who else stars in it? What's her name? Fuck.
Yeah, I just remember the Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves was like my favorite part of it. I was like, what even is he doing in this? It was so weird.
Yeah, it stars, what's her name is, not Mina, that's the other one, but the girl from Beetlejuice.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know.
I'm playing a blank.
Winona Ryder,
Thank you. She's in it, and she does a great job.
Yes. Yep.
And it goes through, like, it takes the classic original one.
Yep.
But it ramps it up. It shows more what Dracula can do. It has him change forms. He's like a werewolf beast. He's a bat creature. He's a wolf. He's mist. Like he's an old man. He's a young man. It's really a great movie. I think it's horribly underrated.
I agree. I'd never seen it until I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, oh, I should watch this, because horror. And I was like, wow, that was a good movie. Like, I loved it. When you talk about the, Brides of Frankenstein, Dracula and all that kind of stuff, the ones that I always think of are the ones in Van Helsing. Yes. When I saw that when I was a kid, they scared the shit out of me. When they're with their, like, little wings and they're flying around, they're like, and stuff. Scared the crap out of me.
And again, I remember seeing it in theaters.
Yep.
And I felt that it went a little too long. Like they had an ending planned, And it kept going. I'm like, oh, there's more. Okay, there's more going on.
Yeah.
Neat. But I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, it's on our list for like...
Oh, really?
Because we were just going
wow.
through it. It's going up, but like later next... Or this year.
This
oh my
year
God,
now,
we're in
yes.
2021. I forgot.
We're in 2021.
Oh, Alana, you need to go to bed. Yeah, it was that one I'm excited for.
Yeah, and Hugh Jackman kills it in it.
Oh.
He does a great job.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first Hugh Jackman movies I watched. Was it before X-Men?
No.
No?
This was, I think,
Because
after,
it was 2001,
after X-Men.
I think.
1 or 2. It was after the
Yeah.
first or
Okay.
second one.
Okay.
And then Jackman got just ripped.
Yes.
Like, fucking ripped. I think he, The Rock got in touch with him.
Yeah.
And said, here, this is my diet and what I do. Want to try it? And he's like, okay. And he's like, holy fuck.
Just get shredded.
Yeah.
Shredded. Oh my gosh. Well, you know who's not shredded?
Who?
Dr. Herbert West in Re-Animator.
Oh, yes. Herbert West.
That was the worst segue ever. God damn it. Anyways, do
Close
you want
enough.
to talk about Re-Animator?
Let's talk about Re-Animator.
Alright, so this week we watched Re-Animator. It's a 1985 movie. It was directed by Stuart Gordon and written in quotations by H.P. Lovecraft, Dennis Paoli, and William Norris.
Yep.
Woo!
Yeah, it's based on Herbert West Re-Animator by H.P. Lovecraft.
Right.
And very, very loosely based.
Yeah. More like, I don't know. Yeah. Drew from things.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was cool.
I like this movie.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun sort of little movie. And that sounds silly because it's a horror movie, but it's so goofy at the same time that it's charming almost. You know, with the level of goof.
It has the feel of Evil Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's serious, but it's a little over the top. It's campy.
Yes.
Because the first Evil Dead was straight up horror, but
Yep.
it had a campy feel to it. Like I've said this many times. The second one was a comedy horror.
Yep.
It was horror, but more focused on comedy.
Right.
And it throws a full up on comedy horror, and it was so slapstick.
Yes.
It was the best.
We should do a comedy horror month.
Yep.
Because
We
there's
should.
enough out there.
There's
that
lots.
You could easily, we could
Idle
do Evil Dead
Hands.
2.
Idle Hands.
We're doing Idle Hands. We have that. We can move it though.
Oh, we can move it.
We also, the other one that I always think of is Killer Clowns.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Like
That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, even campy horror movies.
Yeah. That one I think is funny. And it's like, is it supposed to be funny? I don't actually know. Maybe.
Sure.
Let's go with that.
Well, where did you first hear about Re-Animator?
You know what? I actually, when I first heard about it, I, for years, have listened to Dead Meat podcast, and they reviewed it, years ago. And they were like, oh, it was like men, I don't know, and the blood was okay. And I was like, huh. It just sounded... You know when somebody talks about something and they talk about it kind of biased?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, and so I never really watched it. I was like, oh, whatever. And I was like, I got a subscription, obviously, to Shudder. And they just added it, halfway through last year. And I was like, everybody talks about it. Because there's, a huge cult following. I was like, I'm just going to watch it. Sure. And it was awesome. Yeah. I should watch Bride of Re-Animator too, but I just never have.
We'll get around to it.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And how about you? When did you first hear about
I remember seeing it in not theaters. I was one.
I
at
was
the
like,
time.
you...
I was one.
You were small.
It was just so wee. And I remember,
Oh my
going looking in
God.
the VHS stores and going through the horror movie section, and there's a picture of Re-Animator with Dr. West there, with the head in the pan and the headless body behind him reaching out.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
I always see that, I'm like, that's creepy. I turn on the back, look at the pictures. There's the headless, there's the decapitated head. I'm like, cool. I'm never gonna watch this because that's scary.
Yes. Isn't that weird how you think of like back in the day when you were like scared of stuff, and then you're like, oh, and now it's just like you literally laugh.
But it was a thrill. It was the
Yes.
thrill and the adrenaline because I'm seeing something that I'm not supposed to be looking at, but I am, and
Yes.
it's cool. It's adult, and I'm young kid Nick.
Yes.
It was awesome. I always loved peeking in there, and I wish I could go back and look at it again because you make a list or take pictures
Exactly.
just so I can look and say, oh, I remember this, I remember that, oh yeah, and I've already looked online looking up VHS covers of horror movies.
Yes.
Like the trauma ones are great.
Yep.
And goofy and
My
and also for one of the examples of how it kind of not spoils, but there's some stuff that's on the movie, like in Hellraiser 2 on the back of the VHS cover.
Yep.
There's a picture of them wearing surgical masks, and on the female Cenobite, there's blood on it, like in the mouth
Oh.
area. And they filmed the scene, but it was not in the movie. It's been cut out entirely. And that's the only evidence of that scene ever existing.
Isn't that interesting how like they do the cover art before the movie's done?
Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
that's so cool. And it used to be drawn.
Yes,
or
right.
artwork. Now it's all pictures and really bad Photoshop.
Yes.
It's honestly, it's sad.
Yeah.
The state of movie covers or theater or posters, it's just embarrassing
It
compared
is.
to what it was.
Like, it's just like no thought goes into it anymore. Almost because you know that it's just going to go to a streaming service instead of
Yeah.
a DVD, right?
Yeah.
I was actually in Walmart today buying tables, and I was walking past the movie aisle, and the covers just aren't what they used to be, and it
No.
sucks.
And there's, I forget what the country it's from, but there's this country where they would show the movies, but they had someone who would redraw and paint the posters.
Oh.
And he did such a horrible job.
Oh.
Like, awful.
Oh.
I even just look up bad foreign movie posters.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll come up with Rambo, Predator, Alien. They have someone who does not look like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, holding a very ugly child. It's so
Oh, no.
bad. And now it's so bad that there's people who collect them.
Oh,
And it's a thing.
absolutely.
And it's a huge total thing.
100%.
And I'm like, I want to get into that, but I don't have the money.
Exactly.
So-
Yes. Yep. Other vices I have to satisfy.
That's right. I'm sure that it's just for the posters alone and shipping would be outrageous.
Exactly. Man, shipping is ridiculous, especially living in Canada.
Yep.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Stupid. Well, should we get into the cast?
Characters?
Sure.
Yes. Okay, so
Characters cast.
characters,
Thing.
yeah, same thing. So this movie stars Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West,
Yes.
and I knew I recognized him from other movies, but couldn't
Place
him until I
Yep.
went through his IMDb list. He was in The Frighteners,
Yep.
which I don't know if you've ever seen.
No, I haven't.
So good.
Is it?
It really is. I think it was Michael J. Fox's last big hit movie, and he kills it in it. It's great.
Is it an 80s movie?
No,
or
no,
90s?
this is 2000s,
Oh my god.
early
really?
2000s. Yep. If not late 90s, somewhere in there. He was also in Star Trek and Deep Space Nine as Wayun,
Right.
and he's such a great actor. I love this
Yes.
guy. This guy is good.
Yes.
He plays smarmy to a T.
Yes. He's so condescending in this movie.
Yes.
Like you almost love to hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce Abbott as Dan Kane.
He was really good.
He was. He
I don't
didn't
know if
do
he went
much.
on to do much
No,
after. Yeah. But in this movie, he was perfect. Like, the exact opposite of Herbert West. Like, he was
Oh, yeah.
charming and attractive and thoughtful. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, literally the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So why they made such good partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara Crampton as Megan Halsey.
Who I love. I
Yeah.
love Barbara Crampton. I've listened to so many interviews with her. She's fantastic. And she's
Yeah.
a screen queen.
Oh, yeah.
Even to this day, she's still acting and directing, which I love.
Yeah. David Gale as Dr. Carl Hill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was creepy.
He was good. He was very good in this.
Very creepy.
Robert Sampson as Dean Allen Halsey.
Yep.
As Megan's dad. And Al Berry as Dr. Hans Gruber.
Ah, yes, Hans Gruber.
And fun fact, same name as Alan Rickman's character in Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah.
And this came 3 years before Die Hard.
Oh.
I love Die Hard.
I love Die Hard. I watched it for Christmas. It's the best Christmas movie.
One
Just
of
saying.
yeah.
Ugh.
And that's the main characters. There's other
Side characters, but
But
those are the ones that we.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the cast.
Woohoo!
It's a good cast.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah. Very 80s.
Totally 80s.
I love that. I love 80s horror, honestly. I think that they're my favorite.
It was a time where the effects were good. They weren't, too hokey like the 70s.
Right.
And we kind of got into like the golden era
Yes,
of
I
horror.
agree.
with where also we got the token nudity,
Yeah.
the slashers,
Mm-hmm.
everything really started in the 80s.
Yeah, I agree.
As opposed to Halloween, but I find it's overrated.
Mm-hmm.
I think that started it, but then Jason, Freddy,
Right.
all those came in after and really solidified
Exactly.
and
yeah.
made things really good.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think that there was a huge dump of horror movies in the 80s because it was just sort of becoming its own genre, sort of,
Yeah, and this was before the rating system.
Exactly. So you could get away with a lot.
Yeah, well, this was rated X in theaters and R when it came to home video.
Which is hilarious because when you watch it now, it's just like...
Yeah.
But it's like, again, for male nudity, like, you don't get a lot of older movies with male nudity in them.
You don't?
So for this to have, like, such an amount, it's just like... And it's not, like, straight up all the time in your face, swinging dongs everywhere. It's just like, because
It's in the background.
they're reanimating dead bodies, so,
Yeah.
Obviously corpses don't wear clothes. So
Yeah.
it just, there's lots
And-
of shadows.
and
Shadowy dongs.
Yeah, and then, they're like kind of in the background. They're behind
Yes.
things. It's
Exactly.
Nudity's all over the place in this movie.
Exactly.
But one thing that they got right at the beginning, which I'm going to get into the plot shortly, he started with, Dan Kane. He's a doctor in training.
Yep.
Trying to save a life of this woman. He's given her chest compressions, and they do the whole zappy zaps. They always have, in TV show and movies, they have the bra on, or they got clothes on.
Yeah.
You can't do that in real life.
Right.
If you're giving them the paddles, they are bare skin.
Well, they have to be.
They do.
Don't they?
Yes.
Especially on women. Like, can you imagine doing that and having your underwire?
Eee. And yeah,
Ouch.
I think that's the first time I've seen them actually have the chest bare and exposed to do the shocks
Yeah.
and do the compressions.
Right.
And I'm like, good job.
Yay.
That's a good start. So, as we have
A
good
plus.
starts, let's get into the plot.
Let's do it.
Okay, so-
I'm ready.
At the University of Zurich Institute of Medicine in Switzerland, Herbert West brings his dead professor, Dr. Hans Gruber,
Yay.
back to life. There are horrific side effects, however. As West explains, the dosage was too large. When accused of killing Gruber, West counters, I gave him life.
This is such a good opening scene.
It's a great
'cause it
introduction.
completely sets the mood for the rest of the movie, where it's just like his face is literally like melting off and his like eyes are exploding and like
Yeah.
it's awesome. And you're like, all right, I'm here. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for exactly what's about to come.
Yeah, this West guy, he did something, and Gruber, he didn't like it.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's a really good introduction. It's a good start
Yeah. Yes.
to what we're in for quite the ride. West arrives at Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts, in order to further his studies as a medical student. He rents a room from fellow medical student Dan Kane and converts the house's basement into his own personal laboratory. And here we were introduced earlier to Dan Kane trying to save a life of a woman. Yep. She dies. So he puts her body in the morgue. Yep. Whatever. It's scene setting.
Totally.
He then runs into Megan and they kiss and they end up having sex. And as they're finished, we find out that Megan is the dean's daughter and she's very old school.
Right.
She has to be with someone who, to be married and all that, old school.
And he has to be a doctor and everything.
And earlier we get introduced to, Wes shows up during a lesson or something, and he's kind of a dick.
Yes.
Bit of a dick.
He likes to break pencils.
Yes, kind of smarmy, kind of, a little bit of a, bit of a high, on his high horse.
Yes. Yeah, thinks he's the smartest.
Before Dan and Megan start smooching, he puts looking for a roommate, needs to be this, hits some conditions, and Wes is like, "You looking for a roommate? I'm here. Can I see that place?" He looks around the basement. I love the basement. I'll take it. One basement, please.
I'll take one of your finest basement, please.
Yes. And Megan's against it. She doesn't like him too much, and she's she got the right tea of the whole movie. She's like, this guy's weird.
She's got the good instincts.
So,
man, imagine all the heartache that they would have.
Oh yeah.
If he would have listened to her.
Yeah.
This is just like a PSA. Always listen to your girlfriend.
Yeah, true. So Wes moves in, and he demonstrates his reanimating reagent to Dan by reanimating Dan's dead cat Rufus. Dan's fiancée Megan Halsey, daughter of the medical school's dean, walks in on this experiment and is horrified.
Yes.
Yeah, she doesn't like him to begin with. They're looking for the cat, and the cat's missing. She finds it in Wes' room in the fridge.
Yes.
That was a real cat, by the way.
Yes.
Creepy. And
I was making supper at that part, and I was like, I remembered it from before. I'm like, I don't really want to see the dead cat again.
There's a dead kitty.
Just gonna take my leave and make some quick supper.
Yeah. And they wake up in the night. Well, Dan wakes up to hearing the cat screeching and Wes screaming, and the cat's on his back. And they get it off, and he just break it up, just kill it. And he's like, what was that? He's like, that's my cat. He's like, no, I brought it back. I'll show you how. And he does it again, and the cat's meowing away, and Megan shows up. She freaks out. And Wes kind of pretty much fills in Dan what he's doing.
Yes.
And he needs a helper.
Yeah.
He's like, well, no, I can't do it.
I think you mispronounced the word accomplice.
True. And Wes more or less blackmails him. He's like, I heard you're banging the daughter of the dean.
Yeah.
You're helping me. And Dan's like, okay.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be a shame if he found out?
Yeah, if you're giving it to her.
Yeah, and Dean's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So Dan tries to tell the dean about Wes' success in reanimating the dead cat, but the dean does not believe him. When Dan insists, the dean implies that Dan and Wes have gone mad. When Dan insists, the dean implies that they've gone mad. Barred from the school, West and Dan sneak into the morgue to test the reagent on a human subject in an attempt to prove that the reagent works.
Which, there's never been a problem with that.
Yes, with...
Everybody's saying no, but we think yes. Let's do it.
With bloody results and violent results. And thereby salvage their medical careers.
Yes.
The corpse they inject comes back to life, but in a frenetic and violent zombie-like state.
Man, these are some hard words they're throwing
They're
in here.
big words. I don't like them.
Jeez Louise.
And
it's a Sunday, sir.
Yes. And a little trivia here. The first corpse they reanimate is the fill-in stunt double for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And he looks so much
he
like
does.
him.
When he's laying there at first, you think, he's got the jawline, he's got the look, he's got the muscles. I'm like, I can see why he's his stunt double. He's fill-in. But then when it starts moving around and the makeup's on, I'm like, I don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Nope, it's gone.
Yeah.
Dr. Hazley stumbles upon the scene and is killed by the reanimated corpse, which West then kills with a bone saw. Excited and this is a cool death. He just goes right through the chest. Excited at the prospect of working with a freshly dead specimen, West injects Dr. Hill's, I want to say Hazley, but it's spelled Halsey.
Yep.
Halsey's body with his reanimating reagent. He returns to life, also in a zombie-like state. Megan chances upon the scene and is hysterical.
Like,
Dan
obviously.
Dan collapses in shock.
Yes.
Because police get called. Because the guy who kind of guards the morgue,
Yep.
he went out for a little
Rub and tug.
rub and tug break
Yep.
from his Playboy and came back and he's like, I'm calling the police.
Yeah. It's like, wow, you're doing your job. Proud of you.
Well done. Good job.
Yeah, he is like the worst employee in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Dr. Halsey's, I hate that name. Dr. Hall's. Dr. Hall's colleague, Dr. Carl Hill, a professor and researcher at the hospital, takes charge of Dr. Hall's, whom he puts in a padded observation cell adjacent to his office. We also meet Dr. Carl earlier on, and he's...
The one that West argues with, isn't
Yes, he
Yeah.
argues, he's the one who, he's one of the main doctors.
Yes.
It's alluded to by West that he plagiarized Dr. Gruber's stuff.
Right.
And he kind of gets a little flustered by West's interruptions and kind of, showing him that you're wrong, you're dumb. And he's like, I'm going to have a pleasure failing you from my class.
Yes. And then multiple pencil breakings.
Yes. And you also find out
So
that
random.
old Dr. Hill, who's like, maybe 40s, 50s, he's got the hots for Megan.
Right. Yes.
He kind
Is
of,
it alluded to earlier than
a,
them finding the hair?
a little bit. There's a one, I think, during the dinner scene it's alluded to, and when she's talking to him about her dad.
Right.
He's like, you're now alone. You need some companionship. Me. And she's like, no, I need my dad.
Right.
Find out what's wrong with him.
Yes.
He carries out a surgical operation on him, lobotomizing him.
Right.
During the course of this operation, he discovers that Dr. Halls is not sick, but dead and reanimated. Dr. Hill goes to West's basement lab and attempts to blackmail him into surrendering his reagent and notes, hoping to take credit for West's discovery.
Right.
That's what he does.
Yes.
West offers to demonstrate the reagent and puts a few drops of it onto a microscope slide with dead cat tissue. As Dr. Hill peers through the microscope at this slide, West clobbers him from behind with a shovel, and then decapitates him with it. West then reanimates Dr. Hill's head and body separately. While West is questioning Dr. Hill's head and taking notes, Dr. Hill's body sneaks up behind him and knocks him unconscious.
Yes. That's such a creepy scene too, because he's watching the body sort of and the head at the same time, and all of a sudden he's just focusing on the head, and the body then all of a sudden just shows up, and you're like, oh wait, because the whole thing that he says is that the brain is like how everything sort of happens.
Yeah.
So. But when he kills Dr. Hill, he's like, I've never tried two, body parts before.
Yeah.
Gets all excited.
What's going to happen?
So you honestly don't know what's going to happen. And then when the body kind of, lumbers up behind him, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the body carries the head back to Dr. Hill's office with West's reagent and notes.
Yes.
In his reanimated state, Dr. Hill acquires the ability to control other reanimated corpses telepathically after conducting brain surgery on them. There's more to that, but they cut out where he actually has more of like a psychic power.
Right.
But it makes sense to take it out because that's a little more goofy.
Right.
And also he does a bunch of lobotomizing. He lobotomizes like everything now.
Yes.
He then directs Dr. Halls to snatch Megan away from Dan. While being carried to the morgue by her reanimated father, Megan faints. When she arrives, Dr. Hill strips her naked and straps her unconscious body to a table. She regains consciousness as Hill's body and bloody severed head begins to sexually assault her. And this is creepy.
It is really creepy. And it's just... I don't know. It's not even creepy because it's just a head.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just the whole thing is creepy.
But we find out that, Dr. Hill is just obsessed with her.
Yeah, like
when they're going
weirdly obsessed.
Yes, when Dan's going through the office, he finds a file all about her, like her hair,
Exactly.
some
Like,
news clippings.
I was just gonna say,
like,
yeah.
some clothes. And Dan kind of figured out that, oh, she's in trouble. She got to get away, get safe.
Yes.
Doesn't work. But it really shows just how much of a creep and how bad Dr. Hill is.
Yes.
And when it's creepy. He's got the body, he's holding the head, and he's like licking her face and her breasts and her stomach, and it goes down lower, right between her legs.
Yep.
And he's just about to do stuff when Dan jumps in.
Yes.
And when I saw that scene, it reminded me of Spawn.
Okay.
Because there's a scene near the end where Violator's head's been decapitated, and he says to Wanda, "Hey Wanda, how about a little head?" And in the TV version, they re-edited it to saying, "Hey Wanda, how do you like my little head?" Which is not as sexually suggestive, but whatever.
Rude. I don't think I've seen that movie.
You haven't seen Spawn?
I don't think I have.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
There's talk of doing a remake, which sounds pretty good.
Is he a superhero? Like, is it a
He's
comic?
an anti-hero.
Okay.
He's like Deadpool, but less corny, less jokey, more murder, kill. It's a great series.
Feel like I could get into that.
There's an old HBO cartoon based on like the first Sony of the comics, and it was good. It had the guy who did the voice of Candyman. He did the voice, and it is iconic.
Interesting.
But it's very good, very, very dark, very broody.
I could get into that.
It is really good. I should track that down. Hill's body starts to place his head between Megan's legs, but is interrupted by the arrival of West and Dan. West distracts Dr. Hill while Dan frees Megan. Dr. Hill reveals that he has reanimated and lobotomized several corpses from the morgue, rendering them susceptible to mind control as Hall's is. However, Megan's voice reawakens his protectiveness in her father, who fights off the other corpses as Dan and Megan escape. In the ensuing chaos, West injects Dr. Hill's body with a lethal dose of the reagent. Dr. Hill's body mutates rapidly and attacks West, who screams out to Dan to save his work before being pulled away by Dr. Hill's monstrous entrails.
Oh, yeah, we never see West again.
He kind of gets dragged away by intestines.
Oh, well, he's got to be in the second one then.
I think
we have to find the second one. I might watch the second one after this.
Okay. Yeah, and this is pretty cool how the father, he grabs the head, starts squeezing it, and all the corpses start reacting to their head being squeezed too.
Yeah, and all of their eyes get all upset too, because his eyes start popping out, and they're like, and their eyes start bleeding
it's
too.
the psychic connection thing that was loosely mentioned.
Yes.
And he crushes the head, and then all the corpses kind of go crazy. They go and they rip him apart.
Yes.
While Megan and Dan run away with Wes's research, and he's kind of being dragged away by the body of Dr. Hill.
I was going to say, they're like, it's not tentacles, but it's like his intestines, and it's like it just kind of comes, entrails.
It's where his body kind of falls apart. It kind of just decays away rapidly.
Yes, disintegrates,
And there's just a big old intestine that kind of wraps around him, wraps him up, literally, and drags him towards the corpse into like this smoky, I don't know what it is, some mist gets released.
Just, a quick swamp in the middle of the
morgue. Yeah. Dan retrieves the satchel containing West's reagent and notes. As Dan and Megan flee the morgue, one of the reanimated corpses attacks and strangles Megan. Dan takes her to the hospital emergency room and tries to revive her, but she is dead. Basically, she got choked out.
Right.
This one corpse just grabs her and does not let go. Dan tries to stop it. He can't. Runs, grabs an axe, cuts the arm off, kicks the body away. But by the time she is dead, like her
damage is already done.
Her larynx was crushed.
Mm-hmm.
In despair, he injects her with West reagent. After the scene fades to black, Megan, apparently revived, can be heard screaming.
Yes.
The end. Until the sequels.
Yes.
And that was the Re-Animator.
That was it. That was good.
Really good.
Yeah. I liked it.
It's got some great scenes. It's got some great effects. Yeah.
The first time I watched that, I was like, Nick's gonna like this movie.
Oh, yeah, I did.
It's like right up our cheesy horror alley, you
Yep.
know? Yeah.
And the opening theme was very different.
Yeah, it was very like different pictures of like anatomy and then the Law and Order font, and yeah, it was good.
The music was off.
Yeah, but
That-
off in a good way, kind of.
It was, again, it was campy. Campy
I liked it.
and goofy, but good.
Mm-hmm.
But good.
Yes, I agree.
How,
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you rate this? How would you rate Re-Animator out of 5 Horr-gasms?
I would probably give it a 3, I think. Just for like it's not as creepy nowadays. Just like, I don't know, some of the effects and stuff, but Dr. Hill, I was talking while we were watching, his animation, like his headlessness is done so well.
It
Like,
really
I
was.
just can't believe that was 1985. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The music was good.
The music got better. It got
yeah.
more, less corny, more
Yes.
mood
Yeah.
setting.
And I love a good corny movie too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's one of those movies where like I can understand why there's such a big cult following with this movie. Like it's funny, kind of scary and creepy, and yeah, I liked it.
I agree. I give it a 3 too. It was really good. They had the most scariest scene, I think,
Yeah.
would be when they're looking for the cat.
Yes, I agree.
It kind of just and this is a nice puppet cat. It looks goofy, but it just
know.
runs towards the camera, and it was. I laughed.
Yes,
It was
I know.
so corny, but back then, that would have. I know someone who hates horror movies or was more susceptible to the jump scares
Yeah.
would have jumped.
Absolutely.
Um,
But the two men fighting the cat is so funny.
yeah, it is.
It's so funny, and it's, you know what, it's one of my favorite, it is my favorite scene of the movie because it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the effects were great.
But to go from using like real cat to then that weird fake puppet one
Yeah.
is just, that is bizarre to me. I don't know.
Well, Kay's a real cat.
Like, why though? Yeah, you can.
Well,
Give it a chop chop. I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. There's some chop chopping.
yeah, this is. I don't know.
Have you ever seen Cannibal Holocaust?
No.
Oof. We
Have you
should
seen the
add
Green
that one to
Inferno?
our list. That's a hard one to get through.
The Green Inferno or Holocaust?
It's based. Green Inferno was based off the
Yes, it is.
Cannibal
Yeah.
Holocaust.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the effects are great. Like when
It is,
when Dr.
yeah.
Hill was doing his little autopsy viewing of how to remove the brain,
Yep.
that was some really
Creepy,
good. That
hey?
looked real. That looked
Yes.
real. Where he pulled the skin back over the head. You didn't see anything with the bone saw.
Right.
We heard it. We didn't see it. And then he has like the brain. The brains were kind of. I think those were a little fakeish. I didn't
Yeah,
think those were
I
brains.
agree.
But whatever.
Yeah.
The makeup was great on the corpses was really good.
Really good. I liked
There's
how
one.
like the Arnold guy, he looked like red. Like part of him was like red,
Yes,
and it was like veiny and ugh.
Yes, like with the Dr. Hill's head, he was very, his eyes were very dark and sunken a bit, and there's always bruises all over the body.
Yes.
It was really like the effects were top notch.
good. Yeah.
Top
really
notch
good.
effects. Music was okay.
Yep.
It worked, and the acting was great.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I just liked all of it. I thought it was a good movie. It's just, it's just like, it's hard to explain. Like, well, if you loved it so much, why didn't you give it a 5? Because it's not really scary anymore. It was like some
Yeah.
parts were very over the top.
I was
and
just gonna say that.
Yeah, it didn't stand the test of time, sort of. Which, like in another 20 years, like Hereditary that we watched last week might not stand the
No.
test of time either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just an
Yeah.
aging sort of thing, too.
Totally.
Yeah, and
now
tastes change throughout the decades as
Yes.
well. So
back in the day, that would have been seen as a very scary movie. Nowadays,
exactly.
it's more campy,
Yes.
a little bit of over the top acting.
Right.
While it's got scary moments, it's not a scary movie.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree.
But it's still though, by what it is, it's still a great movie. Like our listener Tasia, one of our great victims,
Yes.
she was just itching for us to review this because she saw it herself and she's like, I loved it. It
Yes.
was such a campy, corny, great horror movie.
I agree. Yeah. She's
I'm
got
like,
good
cool.
taste.
She really does. Except for zombie movies. That's a no on her list.
Oh
But
yeah.
she hates them.
That's fair. Fair.
That's whatever. No, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fine. Everyone can like and not like whatever they
Yeah.
want.
I mean, I can't do dolls or mannequins.
That's right. That's
so
right.
yeah. That's the
So
thing.
so what about Ichabod's Kill the Flick?
Well, she had a very long day, and she's currently snoring beside me. But we've watched it together before, and she said that we have to give it to. She wanted to give it to the cat because she hates cats.
Fair.
But
No, that's true.
we had to give it to Dr. Hill getting decapitated.
Yeah.
It was so good. The fact that we get a shot of West with his shovel half in his throat.
Yes.
And then
yes. Again, great effects. That was
so
such a
good.
great.
Like it's so creepy. Like his skin is all flappy and
Yeah.
and then he gives him one final push and the head rolls off. Like it's so good. And then he picks up the head, puts it in a tray, keeps falling over, so then he puts like a restaurant ticket holder in the bottom. Like it's so good.
It really is. And how after the head's off, the body shakes. Like it reacts to the shock, it twitches, and stops. I'm like, great.
Right?
I love that effect. I love that scene.
Yes.
And then it got funny where he brought the head, put it on in the tray, kept flopping forward because of the way he cut it. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna jab this in there. Yeah, and done.
Yeah, and then it
Fixed.
stands up. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a good death. It was very graphic. Like even this is the thing is like even for 1985, very well done.
Very graphic,
really
very well done. You got the blood spray as he's kind of trying to jab that shovel more into the neck and deeper in. How he was gurgling, the sound effects of being decapitated. It's great.
Yes.
It's a great death. It's a great horror scene, and that's what gives this. That's what makes it such a good movie.
I agree. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Just kind of cuts in and out of like cheesy, not cheesy. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Just enough to not like, I don't know, make it too scary. Like I think anybody could watch this. My mom would probably struggle with it a little bit, but
Yeah.
as you do.
She'd love the sex scene.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom.
Which is again, it's a great little cut from him kind of kissed her on the neck. She going no to yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was Re-Animator.
That was Re-Animator.
Hooray! And next week, we're watching a new movie.
This is really kind of new, and I've been waiting to see this because it looks great.
I'm excited.
It's called Freaky. It's got Vince Vaughn's in it. We were talking about before, and I forget the other actress. But it's a great horror take on Freaky Friday.
Yes.
It looks funny. It looks great, and I'm excited to watch it.
I'm so excited. Yeah, and I heard it was not bad. And, especially like with movies coming out right now in the pandemic, I just I need a new movie.
Antlers. I want Antlers out now.
Is that out yet?
Movie. No.
I feel like I ask you that every week. You bring it up and I'm like, is it out yet?
No.
Damn.
Looks so good. But I'm excited for Freaky. It looks good. It's more of a horror comedy.
I was gonna say it's a horror comedy again, yeah.
But it's I think it's gonna do good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah. I like those. That's fine,
Yeah.
We need to laugh a bit.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on in the world. It's good to laugh, I think.
Yep, I agree.
don't know.
100%.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us. This episode was brought to you by our snoring executive producer, Ichabod. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-gasm as much as we did. Please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-gasm, Twitter at Gasm Horror, and YouTube at the Horr-gasm Podcast. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week, because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-gasms for you to experience. Bye!
Later.